From your life in 15 minutes. How are you guys doing this morning? I hope you're having an awesome morning so far. My name is Pia McAdams. I'm an author. I'm also an accounting professor, and I'm a certified life coach. I specialize in personal and small business finance and also fitness. I help people reach their goals. And the purpose of this broadcast, like every single morning, is to transform your life in 15 minutes. And what we're doing is we're actually doing 5-minute exercises. We're doing one each for the mind, the body, and the soul. And the premise of it is that if we work on all three parts of our whole, then that's going to affect change and transformation. So, for example, a lot of times people, when they get ready to make change for something, they base it on what they see, feeling about what they see, right? And generally speaking, it has to do with your physical body because you're going down, you're going by the mirror, or you're looking at yourself and you're comparing yourself to what the media is portraying, that what beauty is supposed to look like and what success is supposed to look like, and so you're making these judgments about yourself, and it's mainly about the outside. And so then we go about and try to affect change on the outside. And then a lot of times, even though we may accomplish those goals with the change, we find that we're not happy. And that's what I'm talking about here. Good morning, Joelle. Nice to see you. All right, so that's what we're doing here is we're trying to affect change. But I want you to understand that by approaching it that way, it's like a house, right? So basically what I'm saying is, in a house, if you paint the outside of your house to look just gorgeous and just immaculate and landscape beautifully, yes, you'll get the accolades and they'll look beautiful on the outside, but guess what? What does your inside look like? Because we live on the inside. So in this mind, body, soul connection, if you're only working on the outside, which is the body, but you live on the inside, your mind and your soul is actually disorganized. When I say disorganized, I'm using the analogy of the house. Your house is disorganized, it's a mess, it's a disaster area. Well, guess what? That's where you live. So although the outside looks beautiful, if you're living on the inside, you're not going to be happy. Okay, you're going to be miserable. And that's the premise of this challenge, is understand that you have to work on all three parts, the mind, the body, and the soul. Because in that three-part system, which is what we all have, 2/3 of it is on the inside. And let me explain this to you. If you work on the inside, clean up the inside, guess what? It's going to manifest itself as the beauty on the outside. But if you just work on the outside, it's not going to affect anything on the inside. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now, with this challenge of the 5 minutes of the mind, body, soul exercise, again, another premise of it is this. A lot of times when we think about change, we think about everything. So right now that even may seem overwhelming to you. So, okay, that means I got to do this, that, and the other. And then your mind just kind of get overfilled or overwhelmed with things that you need to work on, because there's a lot of things that may be a disaster area in your life. But again, it's all about just taking the little small baby steps, right? It's the little small actions that affect a great change. And that's what the premise of these 5-minute exercise. So we're going to be doing a 5-minute mind exercise. We're going to do a 5-minute body exercise and a 5-minute soul exercise. And then over time, you're going to see that you're affecting the change, and then it's going to manifest in something a little larger. So instead of 5 minutes later on, it's going to go further for you. Okay, so it's about affecting the change. Now, with the mind exercise, so I'm so excited because we are actually reading my book. So it's a book that I wrote 3 years ago, and it still has not been published, but guess what? I've already explained to you that it will be published by the end of this year. I'm working now with the publisher, but I am reading out of my book, and my book is called, remember, I wrote this 3 years ago. My book is called Your Body, the Perfect House, and it's how to find your true purpose and live a balanced life. Well, in my book, I use the analogy of the house, which is why it says the perfect house. And I use the analogy with your body. So your body. So what this book is about is, what is the book about? No, I know, just joking. So what this book is about is an analogy of a house. So your house consists of rooms, and your body or your life consists of areas. And so what I do is I use that analogy, and I explain that growing up, I always, especially as a young adult, I would always notice that when my house was clean, I felt my life was clean. Does that happen to you as well? Like, seriously, does that happen? Like, you think about it, you say, wait a minute, first off, it's usually something disastrous in your life. And then you come home and you look around and oh my gosh, like this place is a mess. Like, how many times do you do that? And a lot of times you don't, right? Because you're so used to your mess that you just kind of push it aside, or you just get used to it. Some of you don't even see your mess, right? But you do see the outside change, because all of a sudden externally things are happening to you. And then that's when it actually affects you. It may not be the inside of your house that, but remember, then inside is the 2/3 part. So that's the overwhelming. And you don't even realize it's because the inside is a disaster. That's why it's manifesting on the outside as well. Okay. So anyway, so then I noticed that when my life was, in order, my house was cleaned. Okay. And again, I don't know at the time when I was growing up, I didn't know which one, I didn't know, I should say, I know now, obviously, but I didn't know which one, started first. I just kind of, like I said, it started, I noticed on the outside what was going on, and I would come home and be, the home of the disaster. But this wasn't all the time, right? This was kind of like a process. So sometimes my house would be clean, sometimes it would be dirty. So what I'm saying is I didn't know which one at the time. I didn't know which one started first. I just know it's like, oh, my life is going disasters. And I come home, it's like, my house is a mess. Like, when did this happen? So I don't know, maybe my house got dirty first. Actually, that's exactly what happened. But anyway, so I use that as an analogy. And then more specifically, what I do is I use the rooms of the house. So the living room is indicative of your financial area. The kitchen is indicative of your physical area. We have the 2 bathrooms, and that's your left brain and your right brain, and that's your emotional. Then you have, which I mentioned yesterday, my favorite room, which is this one right here I'm in, is my office. And the office is indicative of your spirituality. And then you have the 2 bedrooms. And the 2 bedrooms I mentioned was the relationship with yourself and your spouse. And I include your spouse at the time. I was divorced at the time, but I still included your spouse because if you were married, then of course what affects you also affects your spouse. In other words, you first start with yourself, obviously, but then of course you work with your spouse. So it's a relationship with you and your spouse, and then the relationship with others. And so that's what we're doing for the mind portion of the exercise. Now for the body, what we're doing is we're just doing a 5-minute yoga exercise to work on your body. And then for the mind, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a 5-minute meditation. And this month I'm doing a guided meditation. And I explained to you yesterday that thoughts are so very important. I just can't really drive that point, enough. So I probably will mention it like so often. You're like, okay, P, I got it. But I want you to get like that. I want you to say, okay, I got it. Because I don't want you to just say that you got it. I want you to think it and understand it, because when you understand it, you will apply it. And that's the most important thing. Because remember, I talked about the brain being the 2 parts, your conscious thinking level, and then you also have the subconscious, your subconscious emotional. And remember how I like to use the analogy of the body and the house, and I'm always using these analogy. Well, guess what? The same thing, like if you just take that same analogy of your house and your body and just apply it to your mind, it's the same exact thing. Your thinking mind is sort of like the outside of your house, whereas the subconscious, the emotional mind, is like the inside of your house. So do you understand that? So if you're affecting change thinking wise, but emotionally and subconsciously is a total disaster area, which is generally the case, then guess what? That's like you saying, I get it, I got it, but nothing happens because you didn't really process it. So I hope I'm not getting like too complicated here. But if you've been following along, I know you get this. And if not, don't worry, because I'm going to keep saying that word again. Now, because I mentioned the mind, let me show you this diagram that I did, because this is important stuff. Like, repetition is the key. If I'm saying something like 5, 10, 20, 30 times, is the point that I'm trying to drive home. Okay, so when I talk about your thoughts being important, I mentioned about your mind, because for some of you, you don't have a picture of your mind. Now, I know this is backwards, but you can understand it. So remember, I just talked about your conscious, your thinking mind at the top, and this is your subconscious mind, your emotional mind, right? So what you think and what you feel has is going to result with your actions and your beliefs. These are how you get your action and your belief, because they're down here. What you feel about it is going to result into action or results, or the lack thereof. So in other words, you can say, Pia, I understand what you're saying, but subconsciously there's these mental blocks because you keep doing the same habits and you have the same beliefs. So guess what? There's no action. Okay. And then I also talked about, or you may consciously understand it, and now you consciously understand that subconsciously is where the problem lies, meaning it's in your habits and your beliefs. So now you want to change it, and you say, well, how do I affect the change? I want you to also realize this as well. I talked about this diagram. Again, I keep showing it again because this is some important stuff. This all started when we all were little babies, okay? So when everyone is born, you're only born with a subconscious mind right here. This is the bottom part. So this is your emotional mind. And so your environment, which is namely your parents, Okay, your parents actually had the biggest influence on you. And so this is where you develop all your beliefs about money, about religion, about relationships, about anything. Okay, they instill those beliefs into you because, again, you don't have a conscious thinking mind. You can't rationally think for yourself. And it's only to about age 4 or 5 or so that you actually start developing that rational brain. And it actually doesn't come, it doesn't really come fully developed until like 8 or 9, but you don't start developing that till 4 or 5. So in this meantime, something may have happened to you when you were very young, usually between the ages of 3 to 5. Okay, sometimes it may go to, again, because the rational developing brain don't really get solidified until around about 8 or 9. So something happened to you in your earlier years where you develop a self-image about yourself. Okay, it may be something so small. Like I was listening to a story that someone was telling me about their experience, with listening to my broadcast. And so she had experience. She said, Pia, you know what? And this is a person that she's been working with me as well. So it's not just with I want you to understand, it wasn't like this instantaneously, okay? But she's been working with me as well. And then she was saying, as a result of listening to your broadcast, it came to mind that she realized that it happened in the childhood when her mother had another baby. So at the time, she was the only child for the longest time, right? 3 years old. I think, yeah, she said she was about 3.5, 4 years old. She was an only child. And then her mother had another baby. And then, when you have a new baby, then all of a sudden your attention goes to that little baby because obviously you need to pay a lot of attention to that baby because they're this little helpless creature that you have to raise. Well, to her as a 3-year-old, she felt neglected because her mom was spending all the time. Now, you got to remember, when you're young, you don't really understand this. As an adult, we can understand that the baby needs help. But if you're the second sibling, you don't realize that you don't understand that. You just all you see is, all you know is how you feel because you're 3. You don't have that conscious thinking mind. You just know how you feel. And so you're feeling neglected because your mom, all the attention that you used to have is now being diverted to this little thing. And so, and again, you remember, you're little. It's a thing to you. And so then you're saying to your mom, I want little Sarah, just to make up a name. I want little Sarah to go back. I don't want her here anymore. And then what does your mom say to you? Your mom says you should be happy that you have a little sister. So at that moment, like seriously, this is how small it can be. At that moment, remember, you don't have a thinking mind. You're just feeling. You're a feeling person. So at that moment, your feelings are suppressed because your mom just told you that you should feel good that you have a little sister. And so even though you don't feel good, you suppress it because your authority figure tells you that you should. And so, mind you, that little small event, and again, it takes a lot of work to find that out, right? That little small event made a big effect on you because now you felt unworthy. And so growing up, now think about this now, that little memory is a subconscious memory. You're not consciously aware of it, but thinking, right? So now fast forward to now you're an adult, you're looking around your life and you feel that people don't take you seriously. People, make plans with you and then all of a sudden they cancel, and you just kind of, those feelings, that same feeling that you had when you were little still comes up, but you don't associate it with that one little incident, but it really, now you have that self-image of yourself that you're not worthy, that you're not special, that you're not important anymore. So do you see how this works? And that happened again. It can be something really small like that. It doesn't have to be abuse. And trust me, can you imagine if a little small misunderstanding like that has that big of an effect on you? Now imagine if you had some traumatic event that happened into your life. Can you imagine the detrimental effect that had on your psyche? Because remember, hi Nisi, good morning. You're just an emotional being. You're just an emotional person at that little small age. So again, when I talk about this picture right here about, your beliefs, I want you to understand that when you get older, that self-image still is carried along with you in your adult life. And so as you're trying to achieve your goals, as you're trying, as you're going about your life and you're trying to affect, change in your life and you're trying to achieve your goal, I want you to understand that that self-image is still, that you have to work on that first. And that's the 2/3 that I'm talking about. So you may decide, let's say your goal is to lose weight. You may decide to go lose weight and you do all the things, hire a personal trainer, eat right, exercise, do all of that. Do all the stuff that you're supposed to do and affect the change and actually lose the weight. But if you don't work on that little psyche, your little psyche may be that you're a little fat person. And even though on the outside you've manifest change, you've lost the weight, you look great, everyone's complimenting you. But on the inside, every time you still walk around past a mirror, you still will see that fat person. And so that's what I'm talking about. And in the book right now, we're actually on chapter 2, and we're finishing up chapter 2 today. It's talking about the inside of the house. So I wanted to kind of revisit the overall what we're talking about, because this is important. Again, I'm skimming through the book and just giving you highlights on what's going on, but the inside is very, very important. And I want today to be more about introspective. In other words, we're looking at where we are right now. It's the self-awareness, and that's where the chapter ends, is talking about self-awareness. And it's about where you are now. It's that introspective and just kind of understanding your needs, your desires, like where you are right now. Because remember I talked about, the title said, begin in the room you're in. So where are you right now in life? You have to take inventory of where you are. So we talked in chapter 1 about the neighborhood. Okay. So who do you have surrounding yourself? Who are the friends? Who are those 5 people, the friends, family, whoever they are, those 5 people that you're hanging around with, right? Are they where you want to be at this point in your life? They may have served their purpose earlier on, or maybe not. You just didn't realize it. But anyway, where you are right now, who are those 5 main people? Like, name them, write them out, and then really think about where they are. Are they where you want to be? And if not, it's time for you to make changes. Now, does that mean you just totally drop these people off the face of the earth and say, I'm not going to talk to you ever again? That's not what I'm saying. Okay? Obviously, because some of these people are your family. Some of these people you can't get rid of, right? Well, all I'm saying is don't go as often and don't stay as long. Okay? Just kind of distance yourself and then find a new set of circumstances, new set of friends. Again, I'm talking about friends, but think of this as everything, right? This is your whole environment. Find a new set of circumstances, in this case, new set of friends, that's going to take you to where you want to be, because you're not going to affect change if you don't change everything, like in all parts of your life, right? In other words, if you want to affect change in financial area, financially, you have to in other words, it's all interconnected, right? But it starts off with making change, and it's not easy. This is hard. First off, let's even step back. Being self-aware is hard. How many are self-aware right now? Like, seriously, I'm asking you this question. Are you self-aware of who you are right now? Not who you were 2 weeks ago, a month ago. Oh, I got a job, or I did this last. No, where you are right now, because it is a constant change. Today, right now, who you are is different from just a moment ago when I asked you. It could be. You could be the same or you could be different. But the purpose is find out who you are right now. It's that self-awareness, getting in touch with your desires. And then again, when I'm talking about this, I don't want you to make judgments. Okay. It's not about making the judgments. It's just, where are you right now in life? What are your desires? What are your habits? What are your beliefs? And then find out what those are. Don't make judgments at this point. Just figure out what it is, and just once you have that part taken care of, once you have it figured out, now you can decide to say, okay, now that I know these are my habits, okay? And you obviously, there's a whole bunch of them, but the ones that you identify, are these habits, are these helping me right now? Are these good habits? Are these helping me to achieve the goal that I want? Okay? How do I feel right now? Is what I feel in alignment with what my environment is? Am I happy at my job? Is it time to make a change? And again, I'm not saying take action at this point, because remember, it's all about the process, right? You just want to find out where you are right now and just be acceptance of yourself. Because if you don't accept yourself, how can you expect anyone else to accept you? I mean, think about that. If you're telling yourself that you're unworthy and you're giving yourself all these derogatory terms about yourself, how do you expect someone else to feel something even different about yourself if you don't even feel that you're your most important person? I talked yesterday about when you're flying on an airplane, if you've ever flown on an airplane, you know that the stewardess tell you that if the cabin pressure changes and the mask drop down, you're going to put your mask on yourself first, even before your child. Okay? And you guys know me talking about my son Corey and how he is like the light of my life. Like, I love this boy like no other end. I love him just as much. Well, now I love myself more, but just, what I'm saying. In other words, he's my life, right? But no matter what, I got to save myself first, because if I don't save myself, how can I save him? And if you think about it this way, if I save him and then I die, what does that leave him, this helpless person? So in other words, save yourself first. You are important. You have to affect the change on yourself. Once you get yourself, and it's about accepting yourself, once you accept yourself first by saving yourself and understanding who you are and being comfortable with where you are, then you're going to start seeing changes on the outside. But it starts off with yourself. And that's what I want to talk about today, self-awareness. And remember, when we talk about transformation, self-improvement, transformation is impossible without self-awareness. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your desires are and what your beliefs in order to affect the change. Now, again, I kind of been skirting over it because I've talked about it before, but I want to talk about it now. When it talks about changing that subconscious level, this is going to require a lot of work, because think about it. When I'm talking about the subconscious level, consciously you know what I'm talking about, but you don't know what's in there, okay? And let me give you another analogy, because we're talking about the house. We know how when I'm talking about being successful and reaching your goals, it's kind of like you having garbage in your house that's been sitting there for a long time, and it is foul. It stinks. Now, you don't smell it because you've been living in your house for so long and you don't even recognize the smell. But someone is coming over and you subconsciously, I don't want to say, maybe it is subconsciously, you kind of know that your house may not smell good because your house is a disaster area. So obviously it may not smell. So you may do some straightening around and straighten the wrong room because someone's going to come over. So they're only going to see this little area. So then you go around and you spray Febreze to mask the smell. So then the person comes in, because now think about it. This person, indicative, is a person that you meet. They're seeing you on the outside, right? So when they first meet you, they think, oh my gosh, she's this wonderful person. She looks great. She seems confident. And then they actually come inside of your house. In other words, they start to get to know you. And once they get to know you, all of a sudden, guess what? The Febreze doesn't last. That's just a temporary fix. And so then all of a sudden, all your insecurities and everything starts to come out. That's the same thing with the subconscious. Consciously, you can mask it. You can spray it outside to look great. You can appear to be confident. But internally, you could really be struggling and don't feel your self-worth. Okay, so that's what I want to leave you with today. Understanding that and working on that portion, taking out that garbage, is not as easy. I want you to, if you've ever seen that show, Hoarders, okay, and I'm not, that's a totally different arena, okay, because that's a mental disorder there. But when you just think about conceptually the show of Hoarders and how the house, 1,200, 4,000, however many square feet the house is totally disaster, and it actually extends out into your yard. And guess what? It also extends into your car. So what you know, it's all connected. All your areas of your body, of your lives are connected. All the areas of everything inside your body is connected, and also we're all connected. Okay, but we're going a little further with that. But anyway, so when you think about the hoarding, that show, and they have to have like dump trucks making several trips to take out the trash just to clean out the house. I want you to think about that with your subconscious. How old you are now, you have years and years and layers of built-in stuff in your subconscious. So I want you to think it's going to automatically just come out. Just because you're aware of it consciously doesn't mean that you can subconsciously clean it out. It's going to be a process. But this is what the most important thing is. Now you're aware that this has a detrimental effect on your whole outlook. And so now you can taking steps into fixing that. And we talked last month about different things that you can do. And it really, honestly, depending on how deep your junk is, it's going to determine how long it's going to take you, right? For some of you, like the person I was talking to yesterday, she actually pinpointed down to that thing of why she felt unworthy and unimportant was because, her mom with the little sister. So with her, that little memory, she can fix that, fairly quickly because she understands what it is. And that's not something really, that's not abuse. That's not something that's really grounded in. She can fix that. And so we talked last month about, things to do as far as like visualization and then, mental picturing, acting as if. Those things can fix some of those self-image things that will help you. But if it's something like abuse and concrete, you may need to have therapy. But again, it's about being aware of where you are and internally, what's going on. Once you identify it and have it listed out, now you can take the steps and the action to actually fix it. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so Going to conclude that third chapter, and I'm excited because tomorrow we're going to actually start diving into the rooms. And we're going to start off, and it's not my favorite room because you guys know that my office or spirituality is my favorite part, my favorite room, and my favorite area in my life. But it's actually one of my the ones that I'm trained in. Delivery is a financial area. I'm an accounting professor. I'm a certified life financial planner. So delivery. So I'm so excited to be bring to you tomorrow deliver room. But for today, it's all about self-awareness and understanding your desires, your feelings, your beliefs. And remember, it's not, I remember my phone this time, it's not about making judgment, okay? That's very, very important because we're so judgmental, particularly with ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves, okay? It's not about making judgment, but it is about identification because you can't fix what you don't identify. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right, hopefully I can get done today before my son has to leave for school. I like the light off. Why did I do that? All right, so how are you guys doing with all of this? I want to hear more from you. Like, I want to hear your stories and stuff because you know what? It's actually those stories. Now, I will say that I do hear about the stories, and although people tell me, a lot of times they tell me I can share the stories, but then what they do say is they say, okay, but don't use my name. So what I generally do is if you don't mind me sharing your story, let me know that right away. And I promise you, I won't use your name. And then sometimes I'll even change your sex or I'll change the circumstances. Like, the one I told you today, I changed little things around. But it's little small things, but I still want to drive the point home. But share your stories because the stories are what people are going to relate to. And I also use stories in my life. And in fact, you know what? I actually had an introspective moment last month, and remind me, I'll make a note to myself, but if I don't remember, remind me to share my story because my story was similar to the one I told you today, but not really. There's 5 of us, but it's similar to the story today, and I should have shared mine. I'm running out of time. Okay, so I'll do that tomorrow. I'll share my story. If I don't remember, then you gotta remind me. Okay, so moving on to the yoga. It's a 5-minute yoga routine here. It's a practice. Practice with me, and then immediately we'll go into the guided meditation. I'm going to start off in child's pose, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths. My head will be down, but I'll kind of come up and break form and help you with this. All right, let's get started with the yoga. All right, so come into child's pose. The forehead is down toward the mat, and your palms are open up toward the sky. Give me 3 deep breaths. Now on the next inhale, I want you to come up, bring your palms forward, and place them directly underneath your shoulders, and make sure that your knees are directly underneath your hips. And as you exhale, I want you to drop your chin down to your chest, round through the spine, and tuck the pelvic under. As you inhale, your head and chest comes forward. Press those armpits down toward the mat. And as you exhale, round through the spine. Tuck the tailbone under. Inhale, head and chest comes forward. Relax those shoulders, press them down and away from your ears. And exhale. Again, inhale. This time as you exhale, I want you to curl your toes under and take it to downward facing dog. Now in this downward facing dog, I want you to pedal your legs and just get a feel of the lifting of the muscles down from the heels all the way up to the buttocks, just stretching out the hamstring, the calf muscle, just kind of doing what feels comfortable. Now this downward facing dog is actually a resting position, but for some of you it may be a little challenging. If this is too challenging for you, then just kind of feel free to just keep your knees down and just breathe. Come up on the top of your toes. Roll down through the balls of your feet all the way down to your heels. Remember, you're just doing what feels comfortable. You're trying to get those heels down toward the mat. Okay? Come up again. And make sure that you're breathing nice, deep, ujjayi breaths. Inhaling through your nose. Exhaling through your mouth. Now on the next inhale, I want you to bring your left foot forward toward your fingertips and take your arms all the way up into a high lunge. Now your hips are facing forward and you're pressing your hips down toward the mat. Your front knee is directly above the ankle and you're on the top of your toes on your back leg. Your arms are extended and your head is in alignment with your bicep and your neck. It's a natural extension of your spine. Your glutes is looking forward. Now, the next exhale, you're going to drop that left foot down, place the heel down, and your foot is at an angle, and you're going to take your arms out to the side, nice and long. Again, you're pressing your hips down toward the mat. The knee is directly underneath your ankle, and you're pressing your shoulder blades together. Extend from fingertip to fingertip, and you're looking up, forward, over that left fingers. Nice and long. Deep, 3 deep breaths here. Now as you're breathing, I want you to direct your breath toward the tight areas of your body. In this position, is Virabhadrasana 2 or Warrior 2, is namely your hip. Because a lot of times we spend a lot of our time in the seated position, so our hip flexors become shortened. And so now you're stretching out those hip flexors because you're pressing down. So I want you to direct your breath to the hip muscles, the joints. All right, go ahead and place your back hand down, the back of your leg, and the opposite arm comes up and over as we reverse the warrior. Press your shoulder blades away from your ears. Remember, it's all about lifting in your body and using your breath. As you exhale, you're going to bring that left arm just above that left knee. The right arm goes up and over. And again, press the hips down toward the mat. Now your glades can be up. Your glades could be forward, or your glades could be down. Continue breathing, nice deep ujjayi breaths. It's all about lengthening through the muscles, directing your breath to the tight areas. Now go ahead on the next inhale, rotate your body over, place your palms back down, and come back to the downward facing dog, and pedal your legs. Again, you're doing what feels comfortable to you. In this position, your fingers and your toes are spread out nice and wide. Your head is in line with your bicep, and you're pressing your chest toward your thighs and your knees. Trying to get those heels down toward the mat. Maybe sway your body side to side. Remember, you're just doing what feels comfortable to you. This is a resting position. On your next inhale, you're going to bring your right foot toward your toes and come up to the high lunge. Relax and breathe. Nice deep ujjayi breaths. Again, just noticing the tight areas of your body and just directing your breath toward that. Namely, a lot of times we carry a lot of stress in our shoulders, so our shoulders tend to come up to our ears. Relax them down. Place that left heel down and take it to Warrior 2, extending nice and long. And again, we tend to round our shoulders. Squeeze the shoulder blades together in toward your spine. And you're trying to be in one small plane. So I like to say, pretend like there's 2 mirrors or 2 glass planes. One in front of you and one behind you. Okay, so you're in between these planes. You don't want to be sticking out and you don't want to be leaning forward. Keep those glass planes nice and clean. Go ahead and reverse the warrior. And then place that right arm just above the knee. Opposite arm comes open over. Again, press the hips down. Relax the shoulders. And make sure that you're breathing. Now rotate over. Place the palms down. And take it back to the downward facing dog. Ardha Mukha Savasana. Alright, press those heels down. Now this time I want you to walk your feet in toward your palms. Keep your knees bent because I want you to keep your palms onto the mat. And just kind of forward fold here. And then slowly round up, taking it one vertebrae at a time. Just take your time here. Make sure that your head is the last to rise. Rotate the shoulders back, lift up your head. Arms are down by your side, your feet are directly underneath your hips. Take a nice deep breath, inhaling. And as you exhale, I want you to dive your body forward. Place your palms down, walk your feet out to a wide squat, and come down. I want you to use your elbows to press out on those inner thighs and bring the palms together. Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, just kind of bow your head down. Again, you're still exerting some pressure, some tension on those inner thighs. And you're breathing, directing your breath towards the hip flexors. And then slowly release it. Come down. And bring your body to a cross-legged position facing forward. Your hands are down by your side. You're sitting up nice and tall. Try to be on your sits bones and not the fleshy part of your bottom. Take a nice deep breath, inhaling. We're greeting the palms together at the very top. Exhale down through the center. And namaste. All right. So we're now in this position here, and we're going to go into our guided meditation. So, in keeping with the self-awareness, I want you to think about where you are right now. Get a feel for your body, especially after doing yoga. You may be loose, feel good. Just kind of notice where you are. Maybe close your eyes, get in tune with your breath, deep breath inhaling. And exhale. And again, just kind of notice the state of your body, your muscles, your joints. Don't make any judgment, just kind of notice where they are. Get a feeling of them, the areas that are tight, the areas that are loose. The others, if there's any pain, just kind of notice it. Again, don't make any judgments, it's not about judgments. Now give me another deep breath. Inhaling through your nose. And then exhale. Again, another deep breath. Inhaling. And then exhale. Now start off with your feet. The next inhale, I want you to squeeze your feet really, really tight. Curl those toes under on both sides. Squeeze it and hold it. And then release. Release all the tension out of your feet. Just wiggle those toes. You know, we use our feet a lot. Again, they tend to be taxed because we use them every day as we're walking around. So it's very important to get a feel of when they're being tight and also when they're loose. Just kind of keep wiggling those toes. All right, moving on. Take a nice deep breath. And this time as you inhale, I want you to squeeze those thighs muscles really, really tight. Feel like you're trying to draw those thighs in toward each other. Squeeze it. Squeeze all the muscles in those thighs. Hold it. And then release. Relax. Relax the muscles. And I want you to notice the interconnectedness between your legs. Not just your thighs, but you feel it down in the lower portion of your legs and also in your feet. Again, we're all connected. Continue breathing. Inhale into your nose and exhale into your mouth. All right, moving on to those gluteals. I want you to squeeze in the next inhale. Squeeze your buttocks really, really tight. Squeeze it and hold. Just pretend that you're bringing those butt cheeks in toward each other, just like squeezing them, bringing them up. Hold it, and then release. Doesn't that feel good? The release, the relaxation. Again, you feel it down through your legs. You feel it in your lower back. Just to release it because remember, it's all interconnected. Moving up. Belly button. On the next inhale, just squeeze your belly button really, really tight. Squeeze it toward the spine. Like you're really trying to press the belly button all the way in toward the spine. Hold it. Hold it. Make breathing hard, huh? The full diaphragmatic breathing makes it hard. Hold it, squeeze it, and then release. Doesn't it feel good just to let go? A lot of times we're trained by our personal trainers to always hold our abs in. But guess what? When you hold your abs in, that doesn't help you with the breathing, the full diaphragmatic breathing, because guess what? Your diaphragm will not be able to make its way up if you're holding your abs all the way in. Okay? Breathe. All right, moving on to the arms. I want you to take on the next inhale, soft fists. Bring those arms in together. Squeezing your fists, your fingers, your biceps. You're going to feel a tightness in all those muscles in your arms, even across your chest and some into your shoulders. Just kind of squeeze it and hold it. Really, really tight, guys. Squeeze it. And then release. Release the fingers, release the arms. Lengthen out the arms. Feel the tension just release all the way out through the fingers. Release it into your chest, even in your abs, your legs. It's all connected. All right, moving on to the shoulders. I want you to hold those shoulders all the way up towards your ears and squeeze them really tight. For some of you, it's not going to take that much because there's a lot of tension and stress that we carry around in our shoulders. But hold on to it right now. Just hold on to it and then release, relax. Just let all that stress and tension just fall down off of your shoulders. We carry a lot there, but now it's time to let it go. Notice that when you do that, it elongates your neck. Continue breathing, inhaling deeply through your nose, and exhale. Now let's move on up to our face. I want you to clench your jaws really tight. Your eyes are already closed, so I want you to squeeze your eyes really, really tight. Squint your nose in, and just get as much tension as you can muster into your face. And just hold it, hold it. Hold it really, really tight. Don't let go, don't let go. And then release. Feels good to release all the tension out of your body. Just let it melt away. It's all about relaxation. Take a nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Again, take a nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes, release, relax. We've returned refreshed and calm. You've done something good for yourself today. All right, so that concludes the meditation. That also concludes today's segment of Transform Your Life in 15 Minutes. I want to thank you for joining me. Your word today is self-awareness. So today I want you to be self-aware in any given moment. Again, it's not about making judgment. Just find out where you are, at your work, with your school, with your kids, dropping off, whatever, grocery store, wherever you are. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of you in your surroundings, I should say, and become self-aware. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.